All right, so we're going to dive right on into this project. As you can see, I've already done a lot of work that I didn't show you. Milled up some walnut, made this panel, actually made 2 panels, and I'm putting these dominoes in so that I can glue the two panels together. The reason I do this is because I have a 20-inch planer and I want to clean up each panel so that I only have one joint to mess with after the final glue up. But this is going to be a continuous grain Walnut Vanity, and you'll see more as we go. All right, so let's move over to the legs. What I'm cutting here is a Brattle Joint, and I love using the miter saw to do this because the Festool Kapex has a trencing feature which allows you to set the depth that you want to cut, just as I'm doing, and it leaves a very clean cut so that you get a pretty precise tenon if you're doing Brattle joints or mortise and tenon. Brattle joint is essentially just an open mortise and tenon. Now you see it's on an angle. It's a 15-degree angle, so I get a little bit of a splay. Now to cut the mortise, or the open side of this Brattle joint, I just use a dado stack and this Tenon Jig from Rockler, and man, it's a perfect cut. Now here's what's interesting. I'm putting this together. I didn't do anything off camera that you didn't see. I trenched and I ran that through the dado stack, and this is how tight and how smooth it fit together. Works perfectly. All right, so now that the Brattle joint is done, I'm just going to call these riser blocks, for lack of a better word. Brattle joint is a very pretty joint, but if I set the cabinet right down on that stretcher, you wouldn't even be able to see the Brattle joint at all. It would be completely hidden. These are just 2 inch by 2 inch blocks, and their sole purpose is to raise the cabinet that's sitting on this above the stretcher so that you can actually visibly see the Brattle joint. I mean, what's the point of going through all the work if you can't see just how clean and cool that joint is? With that being said, those edges are just too much. So I chalked up a 1/2 inch roundover bit in my router, and I took a 1/2 inch off of everything. Now the purpose of this is to make it look more delicate, make it look more mid-century modern. That's the vibe. Otherwise, it was a contemporary vibe, and that wasn't what I was going for. Moving right along, I skipped a bunch of steps. That panel that you saw me glue up earlier, well, this is part of it. What I'm doing now is just cross-cutting it to make the cuts for each individual door, drawer face, so that it maintains that continuous look. Now you may be thinking, Casey, you put a bunch of dominoes in that. Aren't you afraid you're going to cut through them? Nope. Those dominoes were strategically placed. Moving right along to the doors. This is the Eco Drill from Bloom. I use Bloom hinges in all my cabinetry because I just like them the best, and they've proven to be the most user-friendly. And this tool's a one-stop shop. Skipping more steps, we're going to move right into the mixing of our finish. I use Rubio Monocoat's Walnut on top of Walnut, and I do this specifically because, well, Walnut tends to be a little sappy at times, and I wanted more of the rich browns with less of the variation of the golden sapwood that can sometimes jump in there. And Walnut from Rubio just gives a perfect balance. As you can see, look how beautifully it highlights not only the grain, but the joinery, and because it's walnut and not just clear, it makes that entire finish consistent, smooth, soft. Really perfect is the word that I'm looking for. It makes the finish perfect. And I'm just putting more of that walnut down, just rubbing her in with, I use a Scotchbrite. Get it all in the grain, work it in hard, and then just come back and wipe it all off. But my favorite way to apply Rubio Monocoat is via squeegee, especially squeegee going uphill. I just did this for the coolness of the video. I think it's cool seeing the finish go up, and man, it just stays just as smooth as any other way. And guess what? I skipped a bunch of steps again. So we're moving right into install. I didn't show you how I did the face frame. I didn't show you how I assembled this cabinet, which was kind of funky. I didn't show you me working a 106-inch long cabinet into this funky wall because that was just not camera worthy. But I'm attaching this face frame with lamello. I'll have another video for that at a later date because the lamello is money. So let's jump right into door installation. These are overlay doors, half-inch overlay, I do believe. Just enough to give me a reveal between each door, but not so much that it breaks the continuity of that consistent grain that I'm going for. And of course, I did pre-drill into the face frame. I'm just not showing you that because I feel like that would be relatively boring. Would you look at that grain? I mean, continuous. And guess what? I'm not even going to show you the rest of the install. Yep, I put 4 drawers and 2 more doors on there. Continuous grain, brattle joints, concrete floors, mid-century modern all the way. Beautiful.